You are listening to the Hodges Huddle, where we discuss all things in the wide world of sports. Here is your KLSU sports team.
Welcome into the Hodges Huddle. I'm your host, Andre Champagne, and today I'm joined by Andon Brabham and Raven Freeman today. Happy Halloween, guys. As you can see, it is, during the time of recording, it is Halloween.
Halloween day.
And I'm the only one that has dressed up, so this is a little awkward. But how is y'all Halloween going?
I'm having a great day so far. It has been made even better by you dressing up as Tinky Winky from the Teletubbies.
Yep.
That is... This has made my day. It's made my week. It's made my year so far.
Yep. I'm having a great day as well. How's your Halloween been?
I got some weird looks this morning.
You went to class?
I went to the Union in this today.
You're going to know LSU chicks.
No, I don't think so. Me and Nathan were kind of looking out for it, but we should be good. But we've got a good bit to talk about, so let's get into it. First things first, LSU goes to Tuscaloosa this weekend to face number 9 Alabama. This one is going to be an amazing game, so let's start off with, I know we talked about this on the Sunday show, right? But what does LSU have to do defensively to make sure that Jalen Milroe does not throw all over them?
Yeah, like you said, we talked about it pretty extensively, you, me, and Jaden on the Sunday show, that it's going to come down to being able to get after the quarterback. If you can go and get after Jalen Milroe, this Alabama offense really likes to succeed when they have 5 to 10 seconds to operate. If you can make them operate in 2 to 3 seconds, you're going to win this football game.
Yeah. Right. Andon took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, the D-line has to apply pressure and get to him, period. I mean, some sacks definitely need to happen in order for them to win this game.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it starts with getting pressure on the quarterback, and that comes down to the defensive line, like you guys said. I think if they find a way to take advantage of that really bad Alabama offensive line that they have, it's going to be a really good day for this LSU defensive line, especially missing all those guys that they have. It's just going to come down to, hey, next man up. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. But anyway, if you can't get pressure on Saturday, you're going to lose this game. It's as simple as that.
Right.
But like we said, with guys like Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut inactive, Denver Harris out, who's going to have to play the games of their lives?
Terrence Welch, man. Like we said it on the Sunday show. Yep. It's going to come down to young, inexperienced corners just having to, like I said on the show, die a slow death. Die as slow as you can and keep them in front of you for as long as you can, for as much as you can, and this offense will do the rest. You just got to be a strong body and mentally tough for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I read this question and my heart kind of dropped, so I was like, dang, Welch is really all we have. We don't have that many options. I mean, I just really hope he can go out there and fulfill the role that Zy Alexander did, like Andon said, unexperienced. I mean, it's really kind of scary. I mean, will he be able to perform well against a team like Alabama? I don't know, but he's really all we have.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think also, you guys said Terrence Welch. I'm going to say freshman Ashton Stamps is going to have to go out and play his heart out and just use those reps that he got against, like, Mississippi State. He had a few reps against Florida State, stuff like that, man. Just build that up, and you're facing the best wide receivers, in the country in practice. So I think you use that just to be better. And I think Terrence Welch, like you guys said, is going to have a really big game. And I think he's going to be the guy to go out and cover Jermaine Burton for 4 quarters, and he's going to have to try not to give up big plays. You can allow those 5 yards, 6 yards, but you cannot allow those 30, 40-yard bombs down the field. And he's a physical corner, so I'm really intrigued to kind of watch that. I just don't know if Matt House is going to have him go on Jermaine Burton. It's going to be weird to see. But defensively, scheme-wise, what should LSU do? Should they stick to playing man coverage with all these guys out, or should they play a little more zone, kind of allow them a little more time in coverage?
Yeah, it's hard to just say, guys, we've been running zone all year, but just for this game, because we got different personnel out there, we're going to run man coverage.
Yeah.
I think that sends the wrong message to your guys and to the coaching staff. I think LSU is going to stick with what they know, and they're going to stick with what they think they do well, and that's going to be a lot of shell coverages, a lot of cover 2, cover 4, things like that, to keep Alabama from getting that deep shot over the top to somebody like Jermaine Burton.
I like that.
I mean, I agree. It's one of the main things that this defense has struggled with terribly all season. And I just don't know if they'll be able to pull it off, even though it's what we've been doing all season, like Andon said. To me, I don't know, maybe we should try something new because look how the season has gone. But against a team like Alabama, it might be dumb, but look how our defense has played all season.
Alabama is not the team to experiment against.
No, exactly.
They're just not.
And I saw Brian Kelly say on the Feinbaum show this week, he said, now's the time where you know your identity as a team. Both teams are going to go out and do what they've been doing.
Right.
And they're not going to go out and change anything because of one team. And I kind of like what he said there because it's like, if you don't beat them with what you have, you're not going to go out and beat them changing stuff in a matter of a week or two. And I think with the Alabama offense being so complex, I think they're going to have to stick to playing more man just to simplify it for these young guys. I think you will see a little bit of zone coverage at the beginning. We're going to see how they kind of pan out, but I think we're going to shift more towards that man to see, I guess, during the game if we kind of struggle with that zone coverage. But shifting to the LSU offense, how much do you think this rush attack has to go for in order to keep scoring points?
I'm going to just say the answer that has been true all year, 150. This offense gets to 150 rushing yards without Jaden Daniels, which they've done quite a few times this year. I think it'll be just fine. LSU has done a great job. I think we're the most balanced offense in the country. We're not just a one-trick pony where we're just throwing these bombs down the field like a lot of people in the country seem to think we are. It's a very balanced offense with Logan Diggs, Caleb Jackson, Josh Williams all getting touches. It's very fun to watch this offense perform. I'm going to say 150 from the running backs.
Right.
I like that.
Like how you said, the balance. I was going to go 150, 160, especially because if we play like we have been all season with the rotation and the force, I mean, I don't see our running backs having any trouble.
Yeah, I actually think LSU's rushing attack will be as good as it's been for LSU to score. And I think with Alabama being a really good pass defensive squad, I think it's important that they get those 3 to 4 yards per rush to make it easier on Jaden Daniels. I think LSU is going to have to rush for 200 in this game for them to take home the dub. I know that sounds like a lot, but I think in this game they're not going to be able to throw it as much. But Alabama, let's talk about them. They have a very good defense. Do you expect LSU to go out and score like they have been? And what does Jaden have to do to keep his success up?
I mean, honestly, I do expect LSU to go out there and score like they have been majority of the season. And then as far as how does Jaden Daniels need to play, exactly how he has been. He's found that balance between running and passing the ball. On top of that, he's showed everyone how poised and calm he can be, especially in important games, in my opinion. I mean, nothing needs to change about his playing style on that field on Saturday.
Yeah.
I feel like if he changes something, it's just going to mess it all up.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not, like Raven said, I'm not looking for a change. What I'm looking for is you have to protect the ball and you have to value your possessions. Against a team like Alabama, no matter how good or bad they are, they will make you pay when you make mistakes, especially when you have the ball.
Right.
LSU is going to have to limit pre-snap penalties. I know a lot of people talk about Bryant Denny. It's not as loud as
really
people
not
say
that,
it is. It's not one of these killer home
It's just a
environments.
big old stadium with
It's just
big
a
old
big
lights.
stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as loud as the Swamp or as Tiger Stadium or as Kyle Field or even their main rivals in Auburn, Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Right.
It's not this crazy environment. If LSU can limit pre-snap penalties, you get Emory Jones back this week. I think that's huge.
That's huge.
LSU limits pre-snap penalties, limits turnovers. If LSU wins the turnover battle, they'll win the football game.
I agree. I think
I agree as well.
I think this is a game where that like LSU just can't really rely on the offense to going out and score 40 plus. Like I think that's a lot to ask to see how good this Bama defense is. Yes, LSU's offense is good and they've been rolling, but look, let's face it, this is an LSU Alabama game, man. This is something where Saban knows, he's been there a time or two. He's going to have his guys fired up to go play. And I think this comes down to, like you said, and I think it's going to come down to who creates the turnover and who capitalizes on those special teams plays, like who has better punts and pins people back, who kicks their field goals, makes them, doesn't turn it over on downs. I think Jaden Daniels has to protect the ball, and he's going to have to make those smart reads and throws on Saturday. I think he can't have any turnovers and just protect himself as well. Stay in the game, put trust in your playmakers in this one, and throw the one-on-one matchups, man. This is a game where you have to do that.
I think
that's pretty much what I have.
I think that point you make about special teams is also really interesting as well because that's something where Alabama has the all-time SEC leading scorer as their kicker and their punter. Will Riker does both of those things. Alabama has always been really good
Mm-hmm.
special teams wise. That's something Nick Saban
Very good
really
kicker this
focuses
year.
on.
Yeah.
Will Riker, great kicker. He also handles their punts, like I said. But I also think that LSU, especially in the kicking game, is really strong. I think Jay Bramblett does a great job on punts.
Yeah.
I think Damian Ramos has really sort of redeemed himself
Mm-hmm.
in the eyes of the fans, getting these clutch kicks and
Consistent.
drilling some
He's very
bombs
consistent
too.
this season.
I've been very happy with how special teams has played for LSU. We haven't had many of the gaffes and blunders that we saw last year. So I think the special teams is really where LSU can try and create an edge.
I like that. But finally, what kind of game is this going to be? Do you think
Close.
Is it close?
I think
Comes down to field goal.
close, man.
Talk about that.
I'm not gonna say field goal, but I'm not gonna make a prediction.
Yeah,
I
get that.
have. I've been
Rituals.
dreading a prediction. Last year was the first year that I didn't consume anything as it pertained to the LSU Alabama game. This year I don't really have a choice. I'm not making a prediction. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a close ball game. I think LSU is good enough to go out and win this football game.
Me too.
And I also think Alabama is good enough to go out and
Yeah.
win this football game. So it's very interesting. You'll have to get back to me later in the week.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm on the same page as Andon. I'm just scared. I mean, I'm trying to stay positive. I have it coming down to a field goal. My score prediction is 21-24. The only thing I don't have is I don't have a winner or a loser. I'm trying to not jinx it because I'm known for jinxing things. I was literally going to go to the game this weekend, but I'm bad luck at away games, so I was like, I'm not going to go.
Wow.
Because if we think about it, like, if we lose this game, we're out of playoff contention. Like, our season's over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
true.
this is
But
huge.
at first, I thought LSU was going to narrowly win this game. But, with all the injuries on defense, I just think that
No.
Alabama's going to find a way to go out and score and score quick at that. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on this LSU offense. And I think with that, I'm going to go with the Tide. I'm going to say 41-38 as my early prediction.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to change as the week goes on. I'm going to do some thinking, watch some film. But it's just so early, and I get it. It's so hard to make a prediction for these games.
That's
man.
kind of why I'm avoiding a prediction too, is because every time I really sit there and take off my LSU glasses,
You're like, this is a Nick Saban coach team.
This is a Nick Saban coach team. Nick Saban hasn't lost to a quarterback in back-to-back years since he was at Michigan State. 1999 and 2000, he lost back-to-back games to Drew Brees,
Wow.
who was at Purdue while he was the head coach at Michigan State. That is the last time that a starting quarterback has beaten Nick Saban in back-to-back seasons.
Well, Jaden Daniels will have a chance to become
some
a
history.
Louisiana
With that goal, I
legend
hope so.
along with Drew Brees in that category this weekend.
That would also be 3 of the last 5 in this rivalry going LSU's way, starting to turn the tide.
That's
in that
crazy.
rivalry.
And that's kind of what we're seeing. But to wrap up college football, this weekend is full of big games, man. You look at it. Let's start off with Texas A&M, Ole Miss. Give me your winner for that one.
I have an upset in this game.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Texas A&M. I think Ole Miss is already kind of has one eye on Georgia. That's their main event of this year.
Yep.
I think Texas A&M is a better football team than people give them credit for. For my money, they're the 3rd best team in the SEC West behind Alabama and LSU. And I think they beat Ole Miss this week.
Right. I believe Texas A&M will be Ole Miss too. I just think they're going to underestimate them. I think their eyes are on the prize too far ahead.
One
and they're
eye
not
on
gonna
Georgia.
Focus. Yeah, they're not going to focus on
and
Ole Miss. I mean, on Texas A&M enough.
I
think they're gonna lose.
I agree. I think we all have upsets here, which is pretty crazy. And I'm going to go with Texas A&M for the very fact of Jimbo Fisher is gone. Pretty much at the end of the season is what people are suspecting.
Yeah.
But I think, like, if he was to stay, he'd have to win out. And he knows how big this game is. And I think at this point, we're going to see kind of what A&M did to LSU last year. But in this game, they're going to go out and spoil Ole Miss's chances at the playoffs. So I'm going to go with Texas A&M. But next up, we have Kansas State at Texas. Texas playing their backup quarterback once again. Tell me what you have in this one.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with the Horns. The Big 12 is really interesting. I think there's like 4 or 5 teams that are all tied for first with only 1 loss in the conference. But I think Texas is just too strong overall. The defense is too good. The running game really works for them. I love what Steve Sarkisian has done with Texas. He's really brought them I know we talk about it all the time, but he's brought them back. Texas is back now as a relevant college football program. We'll see if it can be sustained. I think it will be. I'm going to go with the Longhorns to take care of the Wildcats.
I like it.
I mean, I have Texas too. To me, they're just better on the offense and defensive side of the ball. and they have that home advantage. I mean, that stadium I've been, because I'm from Houston, it's loud. It's scary. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas State gave them a run for their money because they're a good football team, but I still have Texas winning.
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer than what the experts think, and I'm still going to go with Texas here to be kind of comfortable. But next up, Missouri at Georgia, possibly the second biggest game of the weekend here.
Yeah, the reason that I'm not picking Ole Miss is the exact reason that I will pick Georgia. Kirby Smart does a great job of compartmentalizing his team and saying, okay, we're 0-0. The slate is wiped clean. We have a big game against Missouri. This is really the toughest 2-game stretch that Georgia might face all year until the postseason. Missouri is going to give them a tough game. I think it'll be close. I think Brady Cook and Luther Burden are both very talented as a quarterback wide receiver duo. I got the Dogs by 4.
I like that.
Okay. Yeah. I actually had it to be a blowout, but I know Missouri's going to come out fighting because this is
their Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is a very important game.
They're not out of it to win the East if they beat Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. True. I think this is a game.
Do you really think they're going to be able to beat Georgia?
Realistically, yes, they can, but they have to play the best game. And this is kind of what we talked about on the show again. We talked about, look, Missouri has a legitimate chance this year to act for this game to mean something. This game finally means something to them. So I think them playing like it actually means something. And they have one loss. They are so much in the SEC East, but in playoff contention. If they win this game, they have a pretty easy schedule. They have Tennessee, and then they have a few more opponents. But after that, I mean, I don't see how they don't win out.
And also, I mean, this Missouri offense is unbelievable, man.
They're good.
We saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
This game is so important. Missouri played them close last year.
Yeah.
That was a very close game. I think
true.
the final was 21-17 or something like that. Yeah. But Missouri played them incredibly close, and this Missouri team is drastically better than it was last year. And I think this Georgia team is actually worse than they were last year.
Yeah, and that was a close game as it was. But I think we're going to find a lot out about this Georgia team in the next 2 weeks. And with that, I think Georgia is just too good. I think the depth, I think they reload. Everybody knows this. I think they've been playing their best ball, and they're showing it right now. I'm going to go with the Dogs by, I think, 10. So next, finally, we have Washington at USC. A very big game. I think people are kind of ruling USC out already, but
I have been so drastically unimpressed by Caleb Williams and USC, and specifically in Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they're a very good football team. I think that they were very one-dimensional. You saw them struggle early in the year with a lot of teams that they shouldn't have been struggling with, but they were winning games.
Yep.
And when you're winning games that start at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time and nobody's watching them, you're going to get away with some stuff.
Yeah.
Now they can't get away with it. I think Washington wins this game big. I'm going to go Huskies by 24.
Wow.
Right.
That's crazy.
I mean, I have Washington winning this one, too. And it's so weird. I mean, USC is potentially going to be handed their third loss in a row this season. I mean, but this Washington team is very good with a lot of depth, and I don't see USC beating them at all.
I'm going to go Washington, but I think it, like you guys said, I think it's close because Washington's been playing really bad ball over the past few weeks, I would say. They just haven't impressed me, man. And I think that comes with, I think they're just overlooking teams, and they could very well go and lose this game if they are not prepared.
If you're of an LSU persuasion, you should be cheering for USC to win this football game.
I agree.
Because you need as much chaos in
the
front
Pac-12.
of you. In the Pac-12, you need all those teams to beat up on each other. You need enough chaos in the Pac-12 so you can sneak up and slide into that playoff contention.
Yep, but we're going to shift over to the NFL now, talk about the Saints really quickly. They defeated the Indianapolis Colts by a score of 38-27. Saints totaled over 500 yards on offense, which is crazy to think about when you see how they've been playing, in previous weeks. And so let's talk about what changes we saw. How did you see this offense respond in this game and then go out and just score touchdowns instead of the field goals that we've been seeing?
I saw a lot of solidarity, and I saw trust in your veterans. Look at the guys who had a big day on this offense. You look at Taysom Hill, who had a big day. You look at Michael Thomas, who had his best day since he's been back from injury. And you look at Alvin Kamara. It's trust in your veterans. It's trust in the system. It's trust in the Saints culture. And that's what's really been missing from this Saints team is trust in the culture and what it is and why it's there. I was very happy with how the offensive line
Oh,
protected
yes.
Derek Carr. I was very happy with the lack of pre-snap penalties. I know there were some late in the fourth quarter when the game was kind of starting to get out of hand. That was the first time that the Saints have gotten over 500 total yards of offense since December of 2020.
Wow.
That's still Drew Brees era, man.
Yeah.
And for them to go out and do what they did, I understand that the Colts are not A-grade competition in the NFL, but you just needed to get one across the board.
You needed to see it.
You
Yeah.
needed
You
to
need to
see
see it.
something. You needed to just see a
Progress
win.
Yes,
You
something.
needed
exactly.
to see green, and you did, and I'm very happy with what I saw
Yeah.
from the Saints.
You needed progress, and
Exactly.
you got more than
Something,
just
yeah.
progress
Yeah.
in that game.
That is very true. I mean, yeah, how the O-line protected Carr was amazing.
Yeah.
And then you guys being Saints fans have talked about how bad the offense in the red zone has been.
It
I
has
mean,
been.
that improved drastically on
Mhm.
Sunday. That was very impressive.
Yep. And I thought the offense did like you guys said, did a great job of protecting Carr. He's been sacked only twice in the last 2 weeks
Okay.
combined, and that's crazy to think about because he's been sacked 17 times in previous weeks combined. So that's just wild to me. I think that comes to testament of saying, hey, these guys are getting better week by week. You just have to let them go out and do their jobs. I also thought the Saints were better in using Taysom Hill and just sticking with him when he was succeeding. They didn't just give up on the guy when he
Yeah.
got a few touches. But overall, what were you most impressed with in this win and on offense, I would say?
Like I said, man, just the solidarity.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
felt like at the start of the season that this was just a bunch of weapons. Everybody
what it felt
talked
like,
about
yeah.
the amount of talent that the Saints had. You
Right.
had Derek Carr, who's a serviceable quarterback. You had all these wide receivers. You had 3 running backs that you were going to rely on.
Mhm.
You still had Taysom Hill. You went and got Foster Moreau, but it was just a bunch of pieces.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And now it feels like the Saints are starting to build the
puzzle's
puzzle.
starting to come. Yeah.
They're starting to
agree.
build the puzzle.
They're starting to trust each other.
Yeah,
that's a big
that's the
thing
big-
too.
like I
and,
said.
and buy in. I think that's a big thing that you're talking about. I think it's great how they shook back as a whole. It wasn't like one or two guys. I think as a offensively whole collective group.
They were sick
Those
of getting
guys were
talked
great.
about.
Yeah,
They're-
exactly. I mean,
this
you
whole
saw
offense.
production from everybody. You saw Rashid Shaheed. You saw Michael Thomas just absolutely impressed me, at least. Kamara, like you said, the whole entire offensive line. I thought even Jamal Williams had a good game.
Yeah.
And then Chris Olave struggled, but he didn't have a horrible game, in my opinion. But I think if they can keep that up, especially with these next few games, they're going to be set.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, considering how much Derek Carr has been done this season, I was very impressed
Yeah.
with his performance. He did really well in the pocket. I mean, he had 310 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's dang near
big for
a
him.
perfect game for a quarterback. I mean, he performed really well, and he was very consistent.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like Carr has a tendency to do good, the first quarter, the first half, then it'll go downhill. He
off.
can be very inconsistent, but the consistency he had in this game was huge.
Yeah.
That was nice to see.
Yeah, and even though the offense clicked this week, are you a little worried about the defensive effort this week? I know they gave up 27, but it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be sunshine and rainbows every single week.
Not me, and let me tell you why. You gave up 17 points in the first half and only 10 in the second half. You made an adjustment. You started getting stops. You started seeing what the Saints' defense really is.
Yeah.
I think they've just been beat up and really tired with how the offense has been playing.
Yes.
And also, this Colts team gives you a lot of bad matchups. They're really
I
physical
agree.
up front. Jonathan Taylor's a great running back. They also use Zach
Michael
Moss
Pittman.
really well. Michael Pittman's a really talented,
Really big guy.
physical
Really big
receiver.
guy.
The Saints tend to struggle with those
Struggle.
big physical
Big guys.
receivers. You look at Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins has given us
Chris
some trouble to
Godwin.
pass.
Right.
Julio Jones used to go for 250 yards on the Saints when he was in Atlanta. The Saints usually tend to struggle with big physical
Yep.
wide receivers. I think that's why you saw what you saw to the Saints. The only thing I'm looking for, tackle the ball a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just see ball, hit ball, make your tackle, wrap up the guy, and make sure they get down.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
I completely agree. I just think that they're tired. I mean, this is one of the best
Mhm.
defenses in the NFL. The Saints' offense, I'm not gonna say isn't that great because they have all these weapons, but they're inconsistent, and
Right.
defenses can only do so much. So I just think that they're tired. And then I know, like you guys said, the Colts isn't the best team, but at the end of the day, a win is a win.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to win in the National Football League,
Mhm.
and this Colts team, even without Anthony Richardson, has won some ball games.
Right.
Yeah.
This is by no means a bad Colts team.
Oh,
They're
no.
going to be
Right.
really good,
Yeah.
and as they continue to
They're
build,
gonna be
I think they're going to be
competitive.
one of the good, better teams in the AFC for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and I think like Andon said, man, there were some bad matchups for the Saints defense, and I think they just had a bad week. I don't think we should be worried, but we should expect them to go to work and have a pick-me-up game against the Bears. And here's another thing, man. I don't think a lot of people are giving credit to the Colts as in their offensive line.
Absolutely.
They have a
Great
top 3
offensive
offensive line in the entire league. Look at what Jonathan Taylor was able to do against such a great defensive front in the Saints.
Yeah.
He was still able to go for 95 yards. I mean, that's impressive to me, especially after just coming back and playing.
Right.
I think that itself speaks for itself, and I think, like, hey, the Saints are going to be okay.
Yeah, the Saints will be fine. And you know what? I'm okay with having a bad week defensively when the
When your
offense
offense
puts
does
up 38
that.
points
Yeah,
and
exactly.
500 yards.
And
I'll
I think
take that.
I think with that, I mean, the offense doing that for the defense, I think that's
They
going to
showed,
pull
hey,
each other together, I guess. Yeah.
absolutely.
And so they have some really easier games coming up. Do they have a legitimate shot at the NFC South?
Absolutely.
I mean, I do. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, the Falcons are their
Yeah.
hardest competitor, and I think that they could easily overrule them. I definitely think that the Saints could win their division 100%.
Mhm.
It just, the Saints, like every other team, are known to go out there and lose games that they shouldn't. So, I mean, it all just depends on that.
If you put the Saints offense that you saw this past week
Yeah.
and the Saints defense that you saw
Regular
for the
season.
first 4 weeks of the season,
Right.
not only do I think this team is good enough to win the division, I think this team is good enough to go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I genuinely do. I think the weapons are there. I think Pete Carmichael is really like you got to give the devil his due.
Mhm.
The guy has. We were calling for a hotline to call plays about a month and a half ago,
In this very seat.
and now he's turned it around, and he's really starting to trust his guys,
Even
trust
in-
his talent.
Yeah, even during the Jaguars game, I mean, he showed
Yeah,
improvement.
you saw better
You
things.
saw,
It was
you saw
just-
more creativity.
You couldn't really get a stop in that game either.
Yeah, exactly. I think it boils down to like, hey, this offense has to go out and actually play consistently better. And I think they have a very good shot at the NFC South. I mean, look, the next legitimate quarterback that they face is Jared Goff, and that isn't until December.
Yeah.
So use these games to keep getting your offense on cue, and then your defense. They should be solid leading into these bigger games because,
Right.
look, your defense has to go out and play Minnesota, who's going to pretty much suck with Joshua Dobbs at quarterback. We're going to talk about that later. They have to play the Bears and Tyler Hagent, and he's not very good.
Yeah.
Who else am I missing?
It's just
The Falcons benched Desmond Ritter last
Yeah.
week.
it's just not like the NFC is really bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
as
I'm
far
saying.
as
Like, the
quarterback play
Falcons are their
goes.
hardest competition, and
Yeah.
I feel like that's like nothing.
Even
compared
when
to
you
the
look
Saints.
at the better teams, I'm not wildly impressed by Brock Purdy.
Exactly.
Jalen Hurts is really the one that's blowing
He's the one that sticks out.
away.
Jared Goff's starting to stick out.
Jared
Mhm.
Goff has played good football, but I think he is containable when you
Mhm.
when you take away what the Lions
I
like to
agree.
do. If you can make Jared Goff throw the ball
I think Kirk,
35 times, you could beat him.
yeah, I
Right.
think Kirk Cousins was in that conversation.
Absolutely.
And
but
now
we'll talk about
yeah.
that in a minute. It's just not a very strong conference with quarterback play wise.
I agree.
And now Derek Carr, I hate to do this as a Saints fan because I hate getting optimistic about the Saints because
Mhm.
they know how to let me down.
Right.
But man, you can't help but feel optimistic when you look at the teams on the
And
schedule.
exactly. I agree.
I
And
agree. I'm
so-
happy. I'm excited for you guys. When I was looking at it before the show, I was like, dang, they actually have a chance.
And like you look at the game that they just played against, or I thought the Colts have a very good defense.
Yeah.
That for them to go and do that was pretty cool. And so I think lastly, let's talk about the Vikings. Defeated the Green Bay Packers, but still lost in a way where Kirk Cousins, who was playing really at his best, I mean, this guy probably would have been
Was
in the
top
MVP
He was
conversation.
playing top 5 quarterback football.
Yeah, exactly. Tore his Achilles, very unfortunate. So Minnesota will be without their star quarterback for the remainder of the season. Starting off, are the Vikings done for this year, and should they just start tanking? I know it sounds premature to say that, but
Yeah, I'm not going to say tank
yeah.
because
Me neither.
there's talent on the football team.
Yeah.
They just made a move to get Josh Dobbs to kind of get
Yeah.
somebody in the door. 'Cause
Which
right
isn't
now,
a bad move.
Nick Mullins would have been the starter this next week.
And that would have been an
not-
automatic
yeah.
loss. Yeah.
Right.
But, man, you just lose so much when you lose Kirk
Kirk
Cousins.
I mean, that's a
And-
star quarterback.
And he's been, he's been the ass end to all the jokes. Everybody wants to make a joke about Kirk Cousins, and every time he goes out, he performs well.
Right.
Especially since the quarterback documentary came out, have become one of the biggest fans of Kirk Cousins. Not only as a football player, but as a man, as a husband, as a father.
Right.
I'm a massive fan of Kirk Cousins and what he does. I feel so bad for him because this is his free agent year.
He was playing for that contract.
Yeah, this was his money year to go get another big contract, which probably would have been the last.
He would have hit it too.
It would have been the last one he'd have been able to get. I pray. I really do that a team will see what he does
Saints
and give him a shot. If he's a New Orleans Saint, I'm over the moon with that.
I agree. And I what do you think, Raven? Do you think they're done?
I mean, yeah, I think they're done. I mean, losing a quarterback like Cousins, like I said, like that's tragic, and that's one of the worst. That is the worst thing that could have happened to this football team, and I really don't think they're going to be able to shake back from that. I really don't.
Yeah, I think the Vikings. I'm not going to say it's over completely, but I think that knocks them out of playoff contention. I know mathematically they're still there. They're 4-4 right now. But then you go and look at the inconsistency that they're going to see from quarterback play. Josh Dobbs has to go in and learn a system, man. That is so hard to do. And just with that itself, not only do you lose Kirk Cousins, man, you're gonna lose Justin Jefferson almost too with the chemistry in effect. And these guys don't know how he plays. I get Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the league, but
it still matters who's throwing you the football.
It matters who's throwing you the football. Look at Devontae Adams, man.
Yeah.
It's going to get really – and I think not only for him, man, I think it's going to get kind of just sort of like that situation in Minnesota for him, kind of like how Devontae Adams is getting treated. But what are you guys thinking about that?
Stuck, man. I feel bad for everybody involved with the Vikings right now because as much as I dislike the Vikings
they were on the
franchise, they were really playing good football, and they were poised in a weaker NFC where the 49ers have kind of started to fall away. The Eagles haven't necessarily been super impressive in the last couple of weeks. They've been winning games, but they've been winning games close, coming back in games, things like that.
The Bears.
They were poised to make a run, man, in a weaker division where the best team there is Detroit, and I think the Vikings can beat Detroit on their best day.
I agree.
With
I agree.
Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. But now, like you said, you kind of lose what makes Justin Jefferson so good because it does come down.
It comes down to quarterback
throwing you the
quarterback
ball.
relationship.
And you can throw as many extra reps after practice against air, but you cannot replicate NFL game reps. There's no situation where you can replicate those kinds of reps with a wide receiver. Right. That only comes with being on the field playing games.
And at that, like you said, repetition, an entire few seasons at that, and then summers spent together. It's more but behind the lines, man.
Yeah, like that duo being gone, that's going to hurt them.
Yeah, and I think that's for that reason. I think Josh Dobbs is going to go out, and I think he's going to surprise some people. He's going to win some games.
He's a perfectly fine quarterback, but he's not playing top 5 football like Kirk Cousins was.
I mean, because replacing a quarterback like Kirk Cousins is impossible. That's the only problem. It's not like you had a crappy quarterback. You're replacing him with another crappy quarterback. You had a star quarterback, and now he's gone, and he's not coming back. So that's a lot to adjust to.
Yeah. But lastly, I mean, we're going to briefly talk a little Pelicans basketball. They've started their season 2-1. Last night was kind of a
night,
I think it was a fluke. I think it was a fluke. It was just
a bogey night.
Weird feel.
No Brandon Ingram. The
full moon out in New Orleans. You know things could get a little freaky, right? A little freaky.
A little weird. The Warriors, man.
That's a good team, man.
I thought they were going to dodge a bullet. I thought Steph Curry, as an aging superstar, on the second leg of a road back-to-back, wasn't going to play.
Right.
He did, and boy, did he play.
Man.
He dropped 42 on the Pelicans.
By the way.
And there was nothing you could do to stop that man last night. They're back.
There was something to stop
Can
them.
you believe it? The Warriors are still a good basketball team.
With Chris Paul as their point guard.
Shock and awe.
I think... Let's talk about it. With this team healthy, though, the Pelicans, what could be the ceiling for them?
I'm going to say top 5 seed in the West. I think you're looking at a 4-5 matchup with potentially somebody like the Dallas Mavericks or the Memphis Grizzlies, somebody like that. I think when the Grizzlies get Ja Morant back, they'll be just fine. But the Pelicans, if they can stay healthy, I think the sky's the limit for this team.
I like that.
They're young. They're athletic. They love playing with each other. I know there was some podcast that put out rumors about something feels weird about their chemistry.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
They love
if
each
you watch
other,
the
man.
games,
Yeah.
these guys love each other, dude,
Yeah.
and they have so many good.
They might have the best chemistry out there.
They have so many good
Young
people
guys.
in that locker room.
Yeah.
Jose Alvarado, Larry Nance, Trey Murphy, even guys like C.J. McCollum is a great locker room leader. And
Brandon Ingram, very good locker room guy.
I love this Pelicans team.
Me too.
I really do. I love the players on it. I love the people that play for them. I'm a fan of Willie Green. I'm a fan of what the Pelicans are doing. I'm going to say top 5 seed in the West if everything goes right.
I like it. What do you think, Raven?
I mean, I even see maybe even top 3 and even making it
Wow.
deep into the playoffs because, I mean, for as long as I've gone to LSU, this team has been young. And we're all juniors now. And I just feel like that chemistry is getting better and better, and it's going to transpire on the court even more.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys said, they can be unstoppable if they're consistent enough.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, but
I'm still young. I'm a sophomore.
yeah, we're still
I'm
young.
still young.
We're still
sophomore.
young.
I get to still be
Yeah,
a
you
baby.
get, you,
Not
you're,
you.
yeah,
Not
you're a
you
young
old,
guy.
Not these old people to
Yeah.
my left.
Right. I think this team, you said 5, you said 3. I'm actually going to say 4. I'm going to say,
Split the difference.
yeah, I'm going to
Okay.
split the difference. I think top 4 seed in the West when they're all healthy. I don't think this comes with just the starters. I think this means everybody. I think it's hard to stop the starters from scoring with McCollum, Zion, Brandon Ingram, those guys itself. And then they're going to win a lot of games if they can just stay healthy during the season. Like, you can go and drop a few. Like,
Yeah.
they're like games like last night.
It's such a
gonna be fun.
long season.
Exactly.
Such a
You're
long
gonna
season.
lose games. Like, it's gonna happen. You're not the 17, 16, whatever.
Yeah, you're not the
Warriors.
2016 Warriors.
Yeah.
You're not the 96, 97 Bulls.
Yeah.
You're not like it's just not gonna happen.
Right. But with the Pelicans bench guys like Jose Alvarado, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall, when they all come back, is this a top 5 seed in the West?
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah,
man.
for sure.
You have so much depth, and that's something that I've really disliked about the Pelicans roster construction for a long time is that even when the starting 5 was good, you didn't have a whole lot off the bench to supplement those guys.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at this Pelicans second unit, the second liners they call them, they got the memes and everything out there. It is one of the best bench units in the league. And now you have guys like Matt Ryan and the rookie Jordan Hawkins who can just come in and shoot the lights out.
Yep.
And that's all they have to do
Yeah.
is come in and shoot
Literally.
the lights out.
And that's guys that are playing right now. Like you said,
Matt
Jordan
Ryan
Hawkins.
played 27
Yeah.
minutes last night.
Exactly. And just wait until these guys like Jose, Najee.
Wait until Trey,
Trey
Murphy gets
comes
back
back.
on this court. I'm
That's what I'm
telling
saying.
you,
Trey
dude,
Murphy and Matt Ryan on the same court.
dude,
Dangerous.
look out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That's
how are
exactly-
you? Yeah.
That's exactly
Because
why I have them at a top 3 seed.
There is a lineup that the Pelicans can put out where I trust all 5 guys to hit a wide open 3-point shot.
Yeah.
And I haven't said that in a long time because if you could throw out C.J. McCollum, Matt Ryan, Jordan Hawkins, Trey Murphy, and Jonas Valanciunas, all 5 of those guys can
Yeah.
knock down an open 3.
Right.
And that
agree.
I haven't seen that in my 19 years of watching New Orleans
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah.
It's never been like that.
I agree. What do you think, Raven? You think, when those bench guys come back that
Oh yeah, that's why I have them at a top 3
Yeah.
seed. I mean, all the names you just named plus the stars. I mean, that is a dangerous team. I mean, to me, that's why I said they're so unstoppable. That's why I
Yeah.
have them going deep in the playoffs. I mean, I feel like people are gonna underestimate this team, which is going to lead them to more wins.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's just so much depth when all these guys come back. I can't name an NBA team that has depth like that,
Like the Pelicans,
like the Pelicans. And I think that's why it's so important for them to stay healthy because I think everybody wants to see this a New Orleans team, small market,
Absolutely.
see what they're capable
Right.
of because
Especially
it's like
the people in the city. When
Yeah.
you're in and around New Orleans, people are begging the Pelicans to just win some games, dude.
yes.
And
Look at the playoff games.
absolutely. It was a great. I
They
was
bought
there.
in.
Yeah.
I I was there for those
Same.
games.
It was a
The
great
2 games
atmosphere.
against the Suns,
Phoenix,
man.
yep.
And it was unbelievable. This atmosphere. If you are good, New Orleans and Louisiana
Will love you.
They're
Throw
gonna
their
show up,
arms around you. They will love you. They will show up. They will be there no matter what. And you talk about bench pieces. These are not just bench pieces.
No, these are guys that have the exact role on this team.
And
Jose
these are-
Alvarado can go and play defense.
They're
Trey
also
Murphy.
proven bench
Yes.
pieces. You've seen Jose Alvarado, Larry Nance, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall all go out and have games where they have 18 or they go out and drop 25. You had a game
Yeah.
where Jose had 35 in a
yep.
game.
Right.
These are proven bench pieces. This isn't just okay, we'll think he'll be a good piece. No, he is.
Yeah, we're just going to
He
stick
is a
them in
good
this
piece.
lineup. No, there's reasoning behind
Absolutely.
everything. Yeah, and like you said, they all play their roles off the bench so well. And like you said, they were young, right? We can give them that excuse for when they lost against the Suns 2 years ago. Now, there's no excuses.
Time to go.
You've got the experience. You've got the chemistry. It's time to go, like you said. But should the Pelicans, I would say, limit Zion Williamson's minutes? And I would say this for the beginning of the season.
Maybe. I mean, if you want to, go ahead.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. As long as he's not missing significant time, all I need is Zion Williamson to play like 50 games and just be healthy for
Or just like
and just be healthy for the playoffs. If you can do that, I'm just fine with Zion. I think there are certain spots where you're gonna like if you're playing a game against the Magic on the road in the middle of December, I'm okay with Zion sitting out that game.
Right.
And just resting up. He's a young athlete. They need rest. And the NBA is such an arduous schedule. It's so tough on these guys.
Physically demanding. Right. I mean, you're sleeping in not your bed
you're
almost every
in
night.
Planes, you're sleeping wherever you can, and then as soon as you land, you're doing a shoot around. You have back-to-backs two times in a week. It's just a really brutal schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with Zion not playing every game or not playing 35 minutes a night.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, especially because they can, because they have the weapons to do so. I mean, don't tire them out. You guys literally just said everything. I mean, the NBA season is brutal, and how the Pelicans season is about to be looking, Zion doesn't have to play 30, 40 minutes. I mean, that's just, it's not going to be necessary.
Yeah, for me, I think the Pelicans should limit Zion's minutes when they're playing back-to-backs.
Okay.
I think that's how it should roll. I think they're going to, like you said, Nate, and you're going to need him down the stretch, and there's no reason to let him go wild just in the first few games and first stretch of the season. So it's time, though, for the best segment of the week. It's time to give our poo-poo Broussards of the week. This goes out to worst performance of the week, whether that's a player, fan base, coach, or team. So who do y'all have?
I'm going to let y'all go first because mine isn't a sports thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll shock y'all this week.
All right.
So I'm upset because, as you guys all know, I'm a Texans fan, and the Texans decided to go out and play this Sunday in Carolina and hand them their first win of the season. They were 0-6 before the Texans decided to fly on down there and let them beat them. So I'm just upset because the Texans are just such an inconsistent football team. I mean, they beat the Saints. They earn all these nice ones. I mean, I think their record is 3-5 now. So I mean, they're still not good, but it's like they'll go out and earn these wins and they'll keep it so close. But still, the Panthers were the only team not to win a game this season. I thought we were going to win. So maybe I'm the poo-poo Broussard. So I'm going to give it to myself because me as a Texans fan thought.
I got two.
That's what you get for believing.
I thought that we were going to go out there and when I had on my Texans jersey,
That's just what a fan does,
blanket.
Now you know what it's like to be a Saints fan.
Yeah. I mean.
You don't know what you're going to get every week.
Nope.
No, you don't.
It's like rolling the dice.
This is the first time in probably like 3 years I was very confident we were going to win. I was like, oh, we're going to win. I'm going to sit there and watch it the whole time. No.
And you were playing the Panthers. So
Panthers. Sorry. So.
Yeah, this week I'm going to give it to New York Giants kicker Graham Gano. Jesus.
You could give it to that whole game, dude. 24 punts in an NFL football game.
I mean,
that is unbelievably bad.
I'm going to go Graham, though, because he went 1 for 3 in field goals. And chances, look, it's 10-13. The Giants go for a field goal with about 20 seconds left. And he's already missed a field goal at that point. He misses very, very badly. And this is kind of uncharacteristic of him.
Graham Gano's been a Pro Bowler a couple times.
This would have not only ended the game. I mean, you pin back the Jets where you have to kick off to them again, put them back at the 25, but you also put them at about the 40-yard line and allow them to come back and tie the game, but then win it in overtime. So it's just really, really bad on his part.
Yeah.
You got to be able to execute, but that's what I'm going with.
All right. Like I said, I'm not going with sports.
Uh-oh.
As we know, we're recording this on Halloween. I've got Tinky Winky from the Teletubbies
is it
sitting
going
next
to me?
It's not going to you, though.
Okay.
It's going to... You know, trick-or-treating is supposed to be fun for the kids. It's supposed to be a time where you get to pig out, you get to enjoy the candy. But there are just some houses in the neighborhood. They give out some of the worst candy ever. Not even candy.
Which ones are we talking? Milk Duds?
No, I'm not talking about
candy. They'll give like pencils and pins.
If you give out something that isn't candy, you are the poo-poo Broussard of the week. If you're giving almonds to a kid, you are the poo-poo Broussard this week. If you're giving erasers to children who are trick-or-treating,
No one
you
wants
are
that.
the poo-poo Broussard this week.
No child wants that.
Have a good Halloween. I know it's past by the time y'all are seeing this, but if you give out almonds, peanuts, any
Trail mix.
apples,
Trail mix is in there.
trail mix, even the ones with the M&Ms
Cheez-Its?
in it,
Is
Cheez-Its, if you're giving
That's not
out
candy.
anything
They'll
that
give like mini bags of popcorn, like for what?
if popcorn balls, if you're not giving out
Candy.
Snickers, Twix,
Skittles.
Skittles, M&Ms, you are the poo-poo Broussard this week. I hope you have a bad Halloween and you give out some better candy next year. Goodbye.
Not even better candy, just some candy.
Mic drop.
But I love that. That's a great way to end. Well, with that, I mean, that's going to do it for us today. Big thank you to Andon Brabham and Raven Freeman today. And this has been the Hodges Huddle.